Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla and today we're going to be talking about buy now, pay later. With buy now, pay later, this allows consumers to purchase something immediately, so right now, but then pay in installments and often with 0% interest if you pay in time, pay everything on time. I'm sure most of y'all have heard of this at this point, but if you've ever been online shopping and you see something like Affirm or Klarna or Afterpay, those are all buy now, pay later services. It's something that I see on almost every single website that I do shopping on these days. It's a service that I have never used and I am not interested in using. I've even purchased something, or at least was about to purchase something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember, I think it was Klarna that had popped up, and it was such a small purchase, like maybe $15, not even $15, and they were offering for me to use Klarna or buy now, pay later. And so this was going to split up my payments into like just a few bucks across 3 or 4 payments, and it's crazy to me. And I wanted to make a video about this because I think it's becoming a huge problem, especially in the younger generations. And now that social media is such a larger thing, it is often being encouraged by these content creators, influencers, even just your friends that you're seeing on social media. And recently I saw this video talking about something called phantom debt, and buy now, pay later services is what falls under this phantom debt. Now, from my understanding, more recently, I think just Apple Pay, which does allow buy now, pay later, has started tracking this type of debt. But from my understanding, it's been difficult to track the numbers when it comes to Affirm and Klarna and those other services. And apparently there's some $46 billion of this phantom debt, this buy now, pay later debt that is floating out there. I will put in the clip of the video where the woman is talking about this, and also I'll link it in the description box.
First, we were looking at how American households are already carrying about $17.5 trillion in debt. And sometime last year, an economist at Wells Fargo pointed to the fact that there's about $46 billion worth of phantom debt lurking in the economy with buy now, pay later services. And we just wanted to note that that's a conservative estimate. Basically, our reporting looked at how no one really knows exactly how much buy now, pay later debt is out there because, due to some regulatory loopholes, a lot of these providers are not furnishing data to credit bureaus.
I do want to talk about the problems with buy now, pay later and why I think nobody should be using it, really. I also want to show y'all a few TikToks that I found while researching this, but before I get to all of that, I do want to go over the polls that I posted. I put a poll on my LinkedIn as well as on YouTube asking about whether y'all use buy now, pay later, or if you've ever used it before. So I asked the same question on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and that was, do you currently owe any money through buy now, pay later services? And I'm happy to say that the bulk of the responses were no, I have never used buy now, pay later. That was 81% on LinkedIn. And then for YouTube, that was 69%. And then for the option no, but I have in the past, that was 12% on LinkedIn and 21% on YouTube. And then yes is 7% on LinkedIn and 10% on YouTube. I did receive a few comments on YouTube about using it. One person said that they order clothes online and doesn't pay anything, then she receives them and decides what she's keeping, and then when she's decided, she returns it and she never pays interest or fees or any sort of thing. So I suppose that makes sense. I still don't love the idea of that, but that's fine. I do hate using those, but they come in handy with 0% interest options when you are in a bind. I bought a new mattress and have 2 payments left. I'm hoping that once I pay off this Affirm, I can then put the $160 per month extra towards a personal loan I have and pay that off early. Some people talked about using PayPal Pay in 4, which is kind of similar to that. I noticed that my Chase credit card offers these pay options like pay as you go. You can split it up, pay 0% interest. Honestly, I think that is better than using these buy now, pay later services through a different platform, because at least you're gonna get cash back from using your credit cards. And I don't know, it's still problematic to me because at the end of the day, it's debt. But we'll talk about that. One person said, I've used a couple of times, felt like I spent too much using those services, so I stopped. And yes, that's a big problem. I do, but only about $200, and that'll all be gone by next month. Somebody said, yeah, a lot, meaning they use it a lot. No way. I don't have any credit card debt, so if I needed to use one of those types of services, I'd use my credit card instead. Yeah, I agree. If I had to absolutely purchase something, I would use my credit card. I'm the type of person who I don't let the credit card roll over into the next month. Like, everything is paid off down to zero every single month. So yeah, let's talk about the problems with buy now, pay later. First of all, and this is the whole goal of the service, is that it is encouraging impulse spending. Of course, you see something that you want to buy, you go to buy it, and then at first you're like, oh, this is probably too much. But then you see the option of Affirm or Klarna, and they break it down into this tiny little price that seems much more manageable. And people think, oh, I can afford that. I'm just going to do it. YOLO, basically. Like, oh, now instead of $150, I just have to pay $25 today, and then I'm going to have it paid off in a few weeks. So many times people are able to take advantage of this service when they definitely should not be purchasing what they are purchasing and they cannot afford it. When you're using these services, this is debt. This is debt, and I think a lot of people don't count it as debt. If you are having to make payments on something that you are purchasing over time, then that is debt. And like I said, the problem really arises because people are just not even seeing this as debt, and also they are allowing it to accumulate. So they may set up a firm for one thing that they purchase, and then they keep doing this on a weekly basis, and then as time goes by, they owe thousands of dollars across these platforms, and they can't even keep up anymore. And at first, these services may sound really good. You're like, oh, instead of me having to pay for this all right now, I can pay for it over a few weeks and I'll be good. But if you miss a payment, or if you make a late payment, or you start getting really behind on those payments, you're gonna start having to pay fees. And now you thinking that, oh, this is a great deal is completely irrelevant because you're paying more in fees than you actually paid for the original purchase. And as I said before, many of these services are not being reported. They're not something that's going to show up on your credit report. But if things do start to be late, if you're going into collections for these things, then those will negatively impact your credit score. So let's look at some of these TikToks that I found because they just really bothered me. They made me upset. Some of them are a little bit older, but this is definitely still a problem, and I think it's just going to continue to grow and be more of a problem. And I'm hoping that by making this video, you can see that these services are not there to help you and that you do not use them. So let's look at these.
Is anyone else like this with Klarna, or is it just me? So I'll buy a few things on Klarna, then when I get paid, I'm like, oh, I'll just pay that off. No problem, I owe 100 quid to Klarna, no problem. Yet, when I go to physically use my money to buy something, I'm like, ooh, 30 quid, ooh, a bit pricey. I think I'll just wait. When I see Klarna's available, I'm like, oh, bump, stick something else in the basket, I'll get free postage. It's the same money. But why is it easier to pay off Klarna than it is to buy a physical item? Like, what?
That is exactly how they're getting you. So what she's saying is, she doesn't want to buy a product that is $100, but then if she's seeing, oh, that instead I have to just pay $20 today or $25 today, then she's just going to go ahead and do it. And that's, yeah, it's just psychology. They are tricking you to buy these things. Like I was saying before, this is impulse spending. This is getting you to just pile up this debt and spend more money.
What if I was suicidal? What if that was my last straw?
226 transactions on Klarna. It seems to be a larger thing in the UK and Australia. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've noticed, at least on TikTok. I think now there's even a credit card for one of these services, and that's in the UK. So it's very interesting.
Hi, my name is Paige, and I am an Afterpay addict. So let's go through some retail therapy together, right? We're gonna address all of this and if it was really worth putting on Afterpay. So as you can see at the moment, $741 owed, and I don't have a job. Probably why it's on Afterpay, but that's no excuse.
Buying things that you don't need to. I'm glad she's recognizing that this is a problem, but
the next 15 days problem. So starting at the top here, we have Sephora. I bought makeup. Shocker. Kmart was all my house decorations, so like, why not chuck it on Afterpay? Shein, I really did not need to make that transaction, but I wanted one of those like hair bottle things, but I didn't want to pay the proper price. And I got a few other things.
You can see this whole list of things. She's going to continue going through them. Princess Polly, I don't know what half of these are. Obviously, she's Australian, but none of it is necessary. So there you go. Impulse spending without a job. It's just so easy to keep on going. I think this is another problem too, especially across women in spending and finance, is there's a lot of this like, oh, it's on Klarna, that's girl math, or this situation. Girls love online shopping because if it's $200 Afterpay, oh, it's $400 Affirm. Like, no. I hate that this is being promoted as like a cute, girly, just girly things. Her hashtag says just girly things. Like, no. That's not a girly thing. It's not good. Just ignoring that this can become a problem. And now people are trying to block these payments from being made. I don't even know if that's possible anymore, but if you do that, then you're going to accrue a late fee. This could be reported to the credit bureau. You're going to go into collections. And yes, it will impact you negatively.
Corey, how do you always look so bougie? How do you always look so nice when you're on a budget? Let me tell you my secret. Credit card debt, Afterpay, Klarna. Is it the most financially responsible? No, but that's okay because the debt will disappear someday. You can't convince me otherwise that credit card is not just like free cash.
Your credit card is not free cash. Affirm, Afterpay, and Klarna are not free cash. Please be responsible with these things. I suggest just don't even use them. And I ended on that one to remind y'all that what y'all see on the internet is a facade. What people are buying, their vacations, their clothes, their makeup, everything, for the most part, most people are going into debt for these things. So it looks like they're able to afford these luxurious and easy lifestyles, but that's typically not the case. As I said, my overall tip is to just not use these services. But if you are in a bind and there's something that you absolutely need to buy, which probably isn't the case if you're doing some online shopping, then just make sure you're staying on top of it. Keep track of any of these services that you use, how much you owe, when your payments are due, how much each payment is, and your total balance. Because if you forget about these things, which is very easy to do, then you're going to suffer the consequences. And of course, I'm going to suggest to instead save up for these things. Make room for them in your budget. If there's something that you want to purchase that is unnecessary or you are looking to purchase, then save up for it, create a sinking fund for it, put it into your budget, and make it fit when you can. You don't want to be buying things that you cannot afford, because this is how you get into debt, not only from these services, but with your credit cards as well. I know that credit cards can offer these buy now, pay later services too, and have 0% interest. I honestly would rather people do that than use Affirm or Klarna. But really, I heavily just believe that no debt is the answer, and I would rather you save your money and then make your purchases. All right, that's really all I've got to say. Feel free to comment down below how you feel about buy now, pay later. But otherwise, thank y'all so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one.